My friends, it's time for the Solid Signal podcast for the week of May 18th, 2015. A bit of looking forward. This podcast will probably be published on Tuesday so that I can take Memorial Day off. And I apologize for that for all of those who are looking forward to it on Monday. Have a great Memorial Day and enjoy and look forward to something exciting the next day. At any rate, I was, not surprisingly, watching the Mad Men finale live last night and thinking that it's a shame that advertising doesn't have the same kind of social connection that it did in the Mad Men days. That's probably the biggest takeaway from all of Mad Men, is to remember that there was a time that advertising was a force for social change. In that way, it's really appropriate that the last shots of the show were of the iconic Coca-Cola "I'd Like to Teach the World to Sing" campaign. I don't want to spoil it any further beyond that for anybody who hasn't watched it yet. But I've even focused on this particular commercial at the Solid Signal blog as being one of the most influential in history, and certainly one of the most entertaining, since you can't say there are too many commercials that have actually been turned into popular songs and did well. There was a time when our national entertainment experience was extremely monolithic. A lot of words there, and I'll try to explain what I mean. It was a very short period in history, if you really think about it, from about 1937 until about maybe 2004, when everyone in America was listening to a very small number of entertainment outlets. First listening via radio, I should say, and then watching via television. This was an opportunity for a small group of companies to really influence the national conversation on a lot of things, and it put a lot of responsibility not just on news companies, news providers, but also entertainment providers to continually be relevant. I'm not going to say that the Coca-Cola ad was the only one that tried to be relevant at that time, and certainly not the only one that succeeded in any measure. But there was just something about that ad. Prior to that, there was image advertising, as it was called, the idea of selling a feeling and not just a product. But image advertising really went into the mainstream with the Coca-Cola "I'd Like to Teach the World to Sing" campaign, because it said that Coca-Cola was more than just a drink. Coca-Cola was a lifestyle, and a lifestyle of young people at that time. Coke went on to have a number of excellent ads throughout the 1970s and 1980s, and by the way, all of them were produced by the real firm of McCann Erickson, for you Mad Men fans if you were curious. Now, it's probably fair to say that the world that we have today is better than the one that we had in 1971 when that ad aired, because there are so many ways for us to get information today. We're not relying on just a few companies to tell us what's right and wrong, and that's really a good thing. But on the other hand, I have to wonder, when kids who grew up in the 2000s and 2010s look back 20 years from now, will they have that same kind of shared experience that those of us who grew up in the late 20th century did? Will they instantly be able to identify with certain touchstones in life? I doubt it. There is no television show, not even season finales or series finales like Mad Men, that attract the kind of audience that you once saw in the 1970s and 1980s. There is no such thing as the national conversation. Oh, sure, stuff gets trending on Twitter or Facebook or whatever, but it's very easy for a lot of people to be shielded from that conversation in a way that it was not possible 30 years ago. As I said, that is overall a good thing, but it does make me a little bit sad, considering that children growing up today are going to miss some of that nostalgia, that shared pain that we all who grew up earlier have today. This 5-minute podcast went by awfully quick, I'll admit, and so I will leave you with the words of Coca-Cola. It's the real thing. Whatever that means, think about it, enjoy it, have a great Memorial Day.